mainly, and then appropriated and used by the white to make it more popular. The thing that the corporations didn't understand with the advent, I think, of the early rock music is, first of all, they disdained it. It went underground. And what these people found out later was there was a lot of interest in this underground music. A lot of people were drawn to these sounds because, number one, it was something they could identify with. It gave them a sense of identity. It gave them a sense of purpose, a sense of community, something we all, as social animals, want. Whether it's our sewing circle, our Bible study group, bridge club, whatever. This united young people on a huge scale in this country. It changed the world. And it was all because it just sounds like that. Just something as simple as that.
Keep doing that. But I mean, this is a little bit different sound than a hollow body guitar would have. And without the amp, just hit it, you know, just
right.
so on silent. You know, it's not something that you're probably going to use to sing acoustically with because it's not the kind of tone and projection. So what happens is with the amplifier now, and early jazz musician Charlie Christian played electric guitar.
Oh yeah.
He just didn't have access to a lot of the different kinds of sound devices. One of the things that is on the guitar, I find this thing very fascinating. Also, the 3 pickups, that's a little different kind of innovation, but this is my favorite piece right here, the whammy bar. I wish the saxophone, if the saxophone had a whammy bar, and I kind of have a whammy thing that I do. Oh, it's so awesome. Play a little tremolo bar. So now you can... little vibratos. And we're in Hawaii. So it's a humanizing device, which is what blues singers will use. They'll try to any good blues saxophone player will try to imitate the human voice. So vibrato, pitch bending, tonal shifts. You know, instead of singing, yeah, right. So instead of, and Janis Joplin was all over that. Instead of, oh well, Joan Baez when she was singing, what a lovely operatic voice she had.
Beautiful.
Okay, talk about distortion. Now you're talking Janis Joplin. So it's the difference between oh and I. So it's all fair game. And so maybe you could show us some of the tonal kinds of things that you will use with the pedals.
Let's talk a moment just about, we got into this briefly, just the idea of, it's just a couple of pieces of wood and some wires and a couple of knobs, and there's some wires underneath. But this is just steel wire, is all it is.
And little microphones, really, the pickups.
The idea being these are magnetic. There are little magnets in there that vibration the string makes is picked up as an electronic signal, and it's taken through these wires to this unit called an amplifier that can make it louder.
Right.
That's not very compelling. That gets your attention. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so what does this mean? How did this change music? Well, it put the focus on these people. First of all, the look of it, and the sheer volume of it. These people playing at these unheard of decibel levels, louder than jet airplanes. And it got your attention. You could not ignore it. And plus there's the whole social aspect. People identify.
Well, there's a visceral quality to volume too. It vibrates your whole body. It's not just the ears going on now. You're feeling this music all through you. When you go to a rock concert, that kick drum's going off and you can feel. In fact, I took my son to a Korn concert at the Midland. It was so loud, and it's a really cool band. But the average volume is about 110 dB, which is just under a jet airplane taken off at close quarters. The bass player's volume was so loud, it didn't hurt my ears.
It hurts your stomach.
It made me nauseous.
Right.
I was literally getting, I was like, whoa, I think, whoa. My son loved it. Oh, it's awesome. I'm like, oh man. But just the sheer visceral, physical quality of the sound itself is pretty cool, really, especially for young people. It's not a lot. Yeah, right. But I mean, you know, when you're 10 feet tall and bulletproof, that's impressive.
Okay, so we've got
So
this
sorry,
instrument. This instrument is coming to dominate popular music. We've got Pat Boone, those kind of people, Perry Como. They are just yesterday's news. The jangles of these guitars has caught the attention of young people. And suddenly this is what's making everybody pay attention.
Yeah,
It's making cash registers ring too.
It even spawned a guitar craze that lasted in the 1960s for about 6 years. Even Sears and Roebuck was selling guitar.
Sure.
Everybody wanted to sell electric guitars. There were thousands and thousands of people. There are guitars lying in attics all over the world now that, you know, were bought in Montgomery Ward's in 1967.
So let's take a look at the technology. It's very crude in the beginning. You just had this plank of wood and these wires, and you could plug in to an amplifier. And if you wanted it to have any other kind of sound other than what it came with, you were kind of stuck. What the early guys did, they would take a knife. Inside this cabinet here, it's just a speaker. And it has what's called a cone in it. And it's just made out of paper. They would take a knife and cut it so that it would buzz and flap, like a kazoo does when you blow across it, to make it sound raw, to make it sound distorted and wild. Because what they were doing, they had this energy. They were trying to get it revved up. So that's how they started. When Jimi Hendrix came along, they got some pedals. And they could rev up the sound.
So that's a...
And this is a highly soaked, distorted kind of sound. Before they had to cut the speakers with knives, or they had to turn it up so loud that it just would overshadow everything. Now we can sit here in this room, and I can make it a lot louder than this, or I can even make it softer. Right. Danger, Will Robinson.
That does not come to you.
Right. So that was one of the ways they could shape the sound. There were all these studio effects that in the beginning cost thousands and thousands of dollars. These guys wanted to use. You have to go to a studio in New York or Los Angeles. Now it's just at your fingertips. You just push a button if you want a pretty sound, like a chorus kind of sound. Or they could use a flange. All these effects cost thousands and thousands of dollars, and you would have to pay hundreds of dollars per hour to get them. Now,
Each one of them sets kind of its own mood
now it's just a touch of a button.
This is delay. Basically, you're just a tape loop. You start the recording and come back around as you're recording into it. And follow back behind you on like a tape.
It just creates a
What
sound
were
with
those old tape loops called? Those
echoplex.
Echoplex. Oh, I wanted one so bad in high school. Too much so I couldn't afford it. These came in a little bit later. These are
But they used all these to shape their sounds. It's the way they could create a new sound that nobody had come up with before. It was all part of the innovation. It was all part of the competition that they mentioned. The Beatles, trying to outdo the Beach Boys or the Rolling Stones trying to come up with the craziest new sound to add to their music.
That's why sitar, they would start going in, you know, they'd start adding music of other cultures. They were looking everywhere for things. You know, the one that I really find significant is the Crybaby, the wah pedal.
Mm-hmm.
Hendrix was all over this sound, and it gives you a real bluesy quality. It sounds really human. You can almost hear some sort of a... And the thing about putting a humanistic element into an instrument really, what do they call it? When you amorphize, what do they call it? When you don't want to do it to animals because they're not human, but in guitar, you're definitely trying to do that. And any kind of really communicative music, when you're not using words, if you can sound like a human being and you can look at somebody and go, it helps to transmit emotion.
Right.
And that's the big deal with music. You put music to it, and even mundane lyrics are all get better. You know, what is the tune? God, what is that?
There's all kinds of examples. Peter Frampton.
Right.
Put the tube in his mouth. Does anybody out there, the older generation, remember Albino Ray, who played the pedal steel guitar and could make his pedal steel guitar talk?
Oh, what was that tune we used to do? Was it Bill Doggett or what? No, it was
Right, Santo and Johnny.
Santo and Johnny. You know, the early blues guys used to use slides a lot. Remember that one? It's a beautiful tune.
It's a great song. Love it.
You want to play a little bit, or?
Sure, let's play a little bit.
Well, why don't you just play?
No, you
Why
play.
don't you sing us a song?
Oh gosh,
We don't have to be super loud to play rock, do we?
Yeah, you do.
It's a requirement.
My mother took me to see the Who do Tommy.
Yeah.
And
What a great mom.
I had just bought a cymbal for my drum set, and it cost $125. This was in like 1976. And forever afterwards, my father gauges things and how many cymbals that would buy, how many cymbals that would cost. Because to him it was like, you did what? And I bought a zillion cymbal. So my mom takes me to this concert, and Keith was playing drums. It was one of his last gigs. It was at Kemper Arena. And at the end of the show, they stomped the drum set into the ground, and I had no idea. I just remember thinking, this guy I would have practiced on that. Destroyed it. Oh, it really hurt me. I was much too young to know, I guess. That'll probably cost me $80 to fix.
Oh, cry me a river.
Okay.
I think what we should do, young fellas,
All right then.
is play an A minor a little bit.
Okay.
We talked a lot about Jimi Hendrix in this film we just saw, which I think was wonderful. I love the footage in this movie. Absolutely some great stuff. And we had a little bit of footage of Jimi Hendrix doing Like a Rolling Stone. But there's another song that Jimi Hendrix, very famous Jimi Hendrix song, is certainly associated with him, was also written by Bob Dylan.
The Watchtower or the... I'm the tenor. I'm sorry, I don't have it. Your name on it?
Do you want to change the key?
No, this is fine.
There must be some kind of way out of here. Said a joke to the thief. Too much confusion. I can't get no relief. Been just been there, dream a while. Climbing dig my earth. Running on down the line. Even know what it's worth. no reason to get excited. The thievy kind of smoke down many here among us who feel life is but a joke. You and I, we've been through that. This is not our fate. Let us stop talking falsely now. I was getting late. All along the watchtower, princess kept their view, while other women came and went, barefoot servants too, outside in the cold distance. The wildcat did growl, two riders were approaching. When he came around, so there you have some elements, not only of rock, but of jazz as well. The idea that we are feeding off each other, creating something just out of nothing.
Yeah, so that's improvisation.
Improvisation.
Although we kind of know the tune, though,
Sure.
so we have a story in mind that we're retelling.
Right.
A good one, too, a Bob Dylan tune. There's hard to go wrong with those. We used to play, what was it, Little Wing, man. We had a version of Little Wing we used to do.
Yes.
Yikes. That was sweet. Let's do that again.
Okay.
Well, I think we have a reunion book here.
We do.
It's coming up.
And it's at a wedding, too. We're gonna hurt them at the wedding. Sorry, this is about us. Not you guys. Sorry, I know you get married. No, that's not true. How about some conversation? We still got about 20 minutes of. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I don't know much about your